at the feet and at the arches of the feet. So I am making it a point to ignore the handles. You can prop yourself, yeah, and then lift one knee. Again, we are going to make it a point to do this from standing. So again, when we get there, I just want it to make sure anyone coming to sit will feel comfortable with what's happening. I have a light bend of my knee and I want to press up. And then I want to pull back. The pulling back can happen with the band still at the arch of the foot. It can happen with pulling at the heel. So you want to just become familiar with how to handle that band and then switch. I want to lift the knee, push the foot through, have a little bit of a, whether it's small pulses or a holding of this great resistance, strengthening of the quadriceps, and you can pull straight back and underneath. You can decide to make this happen with the band at the arch of the foot. All of that works, but let's do just one more. Again, as you lift, come across, welcome. And then out to the side. We'll try that one more time with the other leg. So we become familiar with what we're asking for. I want to lift the knee and come across, tap into that inner thigh, strengthening, lift the knee and take it out to the side and working on that outer line, that nice balance, and release. So now that we've explored all of that, we re-familiarized ourselves with what we're asked. Put your hands simply at the back of your chair, step your feet hip width apart, broaden the collarbones. Notice how already you feel long through the neck. This is mountain pose, and quite often when we've done a lot of asymmetry, it is wise to just bring yourself to mountain pose and just feel the residue of what you did. Lifting the arches of the feet, finding the lift through the front body, continuing with the push, and lifting the front of the feet in general. And then rest your feet. Whether you turn your chair to the side or you turn sideways to the chair, I want you to have it so that it is at your arm's length beside you. And we're going to place the band at our feet. You can do all of this without having the band on your feet. But if you're using that loop, if yours has handles, I'm going to encourage you to not step on the handles. And if you just have a simple yoga strap, you can create the loop and work from there. There won't be a give per se, but there will be resistance regardless. All right? So if this does not work, do without the band. It will be just fine. Lift and come across. And then lift and take it back out to the side. All right. Same leg. Lift and come across. And then lift and take the leg out to the side so we can appreciate this internal and external rotation. So then the other leg comes, knee lifts, we come across, the knee lifts, and we take the leg out to the side. And here's what I'm looking for as we sort of establish how we're stable, how we're secure, is that we stay upright and just let the leg move, right? It's not important how far we go. It determines the resistance that you're asking for, how much you want to put some intensity into it today. A little goes a long way. Let's go back to the first leg. So I want you to focus on being upright and letting just the leg move. I want to lift the knee and this time press forward. So some of you will feel that you need to keep the band right at the top of the foot and you can just press forward and that would be fine. If you feel comfortable sliding the leg through, so this is at your ankle, please keep a light bend of your knee regardless, so you're not locking your knee, and we can have small presses or we can just hold that resistance. Wow, that's a whole lot of strength work for the quadriceps, and this is what we count on when we get up out of the chair. Pull the leg back. When we were sitting, we said, oh, I could keep this at the arch of the foot and press back, or I can simply pull at the heel and pull the heel up and in. Yeah, any amount of that. This is gluteal work. You can press more back than pulling up, and it will get to not just glutes, but hamstrings as well. When you're ready to return, draw it in and step down. And let's do the other side. I want to lift the knee and decide whether I'm pressing forward or if I'm going to push the foot through and have these small presses, right? I think this gets our attention, all of us. Draw in and press back. Notice if what you prefer is to keep this at the arch of the foot, or if what you prefer is to keep it at the back of the heel and pull back. Engage the glutes for sure. Decide if you're pulling up more or if you're pressing back more. You will change what is really participating. And then come on in and step out of it. That was a lot. Okay. I'm going to come and place my feet on either side of the block. You can make the block narrow, you can keep it wide, but what will happen here is that you are holding on, right? You're holding on. Take the arms forward and up, come and sit. Yep, notice how your legs respond to this squeezing, this pushing action. We had pulling actions before. Very nice. As you have the block between your feet, as we hold on to the block, I want us to lift and lower the front of the foot. And we've been working on such things. They might not be our favorite things just yet. You can do this without the block by all means. But as you continue, very quickly, you're able to feel, oh, it's not just the top of my ankles, but wow, these muscles that are along the outer shins, we're about to come into warmer weather, right? We're gonna, time flies because we're having fun. And before we know it, it's gonna be springtime and we get out and walk. And if we haven't been doing a lot of moving, you've heard that term, people get shin splints, the pain in these muscles in their legs. And it's because there are not muscles on the other side, the flat bone of the tibia here. And so these outer shin muscles need to take up that difference and stay strong. For just a few repetitions, lift the heels, bring the block with you. What I want us to get out of this, and if you get a cramp in your feet, then put your feet down, lift the front of the feet, stretch out those muscles. But if what you can do as you lift the heels, as you prop yourself up, is to pull back against your sticky mat, like you're trying to slide your toes closer to you, does everybody feel the soles of their feet turn on, and it taps into the hamstrings? It makes you sit a little bit taller. You can do this from standing, some of this from standing. We get a whole lot out of this when we sit. The pulling back action is more accessible. All right, so now we'll make this a little bit different. I'm going to move the block so it's underneath one side, and I'm going to plant the heel on it. So what gets to happen is that my heel pushes, and I'm counting on this sticky mat. And I want to come and park the toes of the other foot more toward the front, and I have a push-pull, and it's not centered, it's to one side. Okay, so we have this a little bit of external rotation on this side. And all of a sudden, you don't have to work or think about, overthink this sitting up tall. This does it for you. The lines of energy that turn on in your body support extension, sitting tall, relax, slide the block over to the other side, put it underneath the heel so that the heel is pushing forward against the sticky mat, against the block. The other foot is in front, and the idea is to push, pull. And one side may tell you different. If you start to get a cramp through the sole of the foot, that means we need to be stronger in those muscles. The relationship of that plantar fascia could stand to be different. To be stronger. Okay, Relax. Well, let's move the block out of the way. If it becomes a favorite thing, it's a great exercise to do. And you don't have to have a block. You can use almost anything to do that with. Can we turn so that we're not turning out in our knees, but we are turning to the outer edge of the feet, trying to lift the inner edges of the feet up? You can put your hands at your knees just to notice that you're not doing that. And you can even let your hands press into the outer knee to keep you from doing that. And then we have a whole lot of action through the ankle and the sole of the foot. Relax. This time I'm going to make sure my knees are staying in. I'm going to put my hands to the inner knee, and I'm going to change to put the weight more to the inner edges without letting the knees collapse. So what happens? I get a little bit of resistance. We could have put the block there, but I am really strengthening this inversion, eversion kind of movement potential. Right? Relax. We want from here to lift the toes and spread them wide. All right. And this time I want you to really look at your feet, because sometimes if we look at what we're asking for, we can connect that our brain is trying to ask our toes to do this next bit. Can you put the big toes down? Right? And keep the other toes up. When we do mountain pose, we're kind of asking for that, but now we're coming upon something different. Can you keep the big toes down and also put the little toes down and keep the other three lifted in the middle? Wow, right? Because we have nerves that go to each of them, and then we have some nerves. So for example, there's one nerve that goes to the big and the second toe all by itself. So we could lift those two by themselves, but now rest down. Now, look at your feet if you wish, and lift the big toe and press the other 8 toes down. Yep. I'm not going to ask you to lift the little toe, but I am going to ask us to think about, can I lift the big toe and then I can lift the second toe and leave the other 3 down, because there is a nerve that does that, just those 2 toes. And then can we keep asking for it? Can I ask the next one to come up and then the next one to come up, and lastly, all 10 toes are lifted? Okay, that's a lot of isolation of specific areas. Press the little toe down, and then the second one to the little toe, and then the middle, and then the 4th toe, and lastly, the big toe. So just saying that if we start with the big toe, it's easier to kind of access that. But what if we want to start with the little toe? Okay, I want to lift the little toe up, and I ask for that, and it doesn't happen for me. Okay, it doesn't happen for me. If I ask for that, the other ones, they just want to all come up together. And so, but some people can. All right. So depending on, the shape of your toes, how you really bear weight, we're all so unique in that. There are some things that are the same between us, like typically when people walk, they have a heel strike and a toe lift, typically. And about 25% of your weight is in your big toe mound. Can we try to lift the little toe side again? Can we leave everything else on the floor? If we just kind of look and ask for it, it might start to, our brain to our foundation might start to remember that we're wired to do this. And then lift the other toes along the way, leave the big toe down, keep asking for that lift, keep the knees centered. So all of those pathways that are supported by capillary beds are maintained when we really use our feet a lot in all of the different articulation capacities. But that means we can grow that back again, and we can ask for it. Relax. I want us to do another very simple thing to understand the point that when we are really able to reach into our feet and stretch the frame of the foot and do all kinds of using toes as the kickstand for all kinds of movements and catch ourselves if we're about to fall, it's your toes that'll grip first, then our spine is more mobile and our rib cage is more mobile. So if you were to curl your toes without getting a cramp, stretch them out if you do, And then just take a deep breath. Notice the capacity of that three-dimensional expansion of your rib cage, and then slowly relax your feet and exhale. And then stretch your toes, really stretch your toes, lift all of them, stretch them wide, and now take a deep breath. There should be more spaciousness. You should feel like the expansiveness of your rib cage is more willing, is greater. And so whether or not we do these kind of footwork exercises, that is the reason that I use a lot and suggest that we use toe socks. Something between your toes is going to give you a greater articulation of the frame of your foot.